What's up everyone, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John and it's time for a review of the 7th studio album by the rock band Maine, one of the most consistent groups of the 2010s in my opinion. They've really just put out some great albums in this decade, from Pioneer to Lovely Little Lonely, and this new record is titled You Are Okay. It's a little bit mind-boggling that I've been listening to Maine for over a decade at this point. I discovered them on MySpace with their song Everything I Ask For, and I actually met them backstage at Warped Tour last year, which was incredible. I got to speak to John O'Callaghan, the lead vocalist specifically, and I told him that I had reviewed American Candy and Lovely Little Lonely on the channel, and he said, and quote, "I hope you were kind." Numb Without You was the lead single, and I wasn't exactly captivated or spellbound by this track, but I do think that it's serviceable enough. I think the strings are a bit questionable to as if they're necessary or not, but again, it's still relatively catchy, and I understand the sentiment behind it. I got a little bit more on board and excited when I heard My Best Habit. That song is definitely a jam. I could do without the production and glitchiness in the intro and outro, but outside of that, a great tune that definitely has me coming back, so let's go ahead and dive into the full album. Maine teamed up with producer Matt Squire for the first time since their debut album Can't Stop, Won't Stop that came out in 2008. Matt Squire has a bit of a spotty record in my eyes. I do love some of the albums that he's worked on, like Panic at the Disco's debut, and then there's other albums like the Used artwork that I'm not as crazy about, but I was still interested to see what he would bring to their sound. Maine are one of those bands that can just lock themselves away and create an album in a month or two, and they did that in this process once again for You Are Okay. I think the overall sound is once again alternative rock, although there's other elements to be found. As I already mentioned, there's a glitchiness to some of the tracks, there's string sections that come in, and there's still an abundance of guitars. It's just that this record feels a bit more spacey in places. There's definitely some places in those empty spaces that I referred to where I feel that Maine are a little bit less engaging this time around. I feel that the compelling hooks are definitely still here, from One Sunset to the opening cut Slip the Noose and My Best Habit, but then there's other songs where it feels like they're kind of building tension or atmosphere for a little while, and then the chorus finally comes in, or maybe there's just a counterpart that doesn't exactly line up, and that's where it starts to lose me a bit. The songs where they bring it, they fucking bring it. The choruses are stellar, the musicianship is fun, engaging, lively, and thriving. But then there's other cuts where I feel that there's an inconsistency, and that kind of bogs down a few areas. Overall, it's not a huge complaint for me because even the songs that I'm not connected with as much, for the most part, I find that there's plenty of redeeming qualities there, whether it be a catchy chorus on something like I Feel It All Over, which is easily the best part of that track, or something like Tears Won't Cry, which took me a little bit to get into. It is different, as they described it themselves. It's just a little bit out there. When we do get guitar solos, those definitely feel like an all-encompassing moment where your attention is immediately drawn. It feels therapeutic and also like a release of tension that's been building up at certain places. I do feel that lyrically there are a few missteps, and not to say misstep in, oh, they are abundantly terrible, but more so in the fact that I feel this is a little bit more generic, playing it safe. There's tracks like Broken Parts that remind me of an even more generic Unlost, like from American Candy, and not to slam that song entirely, that's a 5 out of 5 record in my eyes, but still, that would probably be my least favorite if I had to pick one. And to say this feels like a kind of washed out version of that, not exactly a huge compliment. The band really quelled some of my fears immediately as I hit play on the record for the first time, and Slip the Noose just hit me like a tidal wave. This song is immense. I love the gang vocals. I love the fact that it sounds different for Maine, but also like a natural step forward. This is a song that sees somebody at the end of their rope, quite literally it seems. Somebody is contemplating taking their own life. They're at the lowest point they've ever been, and then they find that special someone that makes everything all worthwhile, all of the pain. And O'Callaghan is so convincing here, and I love the driving guitars, the stomping feeling that almost feels triumphant here. They're overcoming, and then at the end of the record, they tie it back in on the closing cut Flowers on the Grave. This song is incredible. It feels like a milestone for the band, and to have such a solid opener and closer, and then some of the stuff in between feeling a little bit scattered, I think it almost makes it all worthwhile just because of how incredible those two are. The acoustic track Forevermore feels really sweet and genuine. It almost feels like you're listening to a friend play the acoustic guitar around a campfire. They take on more of a danceable direction with Tears Won't Cry, which has a word that I'm not going to try to pronounce in Japanese, but when translated it means double suicide, and they kind of take on the feeling of, oh, these two lovers were not going to be together on Earth possibly, but if we take our own lives, things will be better in the afterlife. But it's made to be in an upbeat kind of dancey Maine type rock song. They somehow surprisingly pull it off. The song is really growing on me. It's kind of wiggling its way into my heart, and I could see this being a favorite from the record in the future. One Sunset, on the other hand, evokes nostalgia and kind of paints this portrait, especially in the chorus, of running through the streets of London. We've heard about this before. English Girls, one of their singles that came out on American Candy. I love that theme. There's even a London Calling reference, The Clash right there. That popped up and caught my attention. But the song itself, it's definitely, in terms of its music, something that kind of encapsulates everything that I love about the Maine. Also, a quick shout out to Heaven We're Already Here, something that definitely brings a smile to my face. A shining tune with an excellent hook that does remind me of Boys Like Girls and their track The Great Escape, which I could not put a finger on that at first, but then I was looking up Matt Squire and saw that, he also produced for Boys Like Girls and that very track, so there's the connection. Overall, it's again a well done, mostly well produced record that's gonna get some repeat listens out of me, I'm sure. There's specific tracks that I feel a lot of fans will continue coming back to, but it is, in my eyes, a step down from both Lovely Little Lonely and American Candy. I'm going to rate this record a 3.5 out of 5. Let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. Keep in mind it's all just my opinion. Drop a like on the review and subscribe for the love of music. Shout out to all of my Patreon supporters. I truly appreciate you. You might have heard that we're dealing with a lot of copyright issues on the channel right now, and if you would like to help support the channels, then click the top link down below or else the annotation in the corner. See a review of the Maine right here, Lovely Little Lonely, or tap here for another recent rock review. Socials in the description, and I'll see you soon for more on ARTV.